Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them and tell you everything you need to know. Now tonight we start off with a bang, literally. After months of hemming, hawing and general diplomatic dithering, it appears Western politicians have finally agreed that Ukraine can defend itself by striking targets inside the Russian Federation. Yes, you heard that right. Berlin has given Ukraine the green light to attack Russian targets using German weaponry, according to the Spiegel newspaper. Now, this is monumental because, as the New York Times reports, these attacks could begin within hours or days. It's like giving your neighbor permission to use your leaf blower, but instead of leaves, it's military targets, and instead of noise complaints, it's international outrage. But wait, there is more. The United States has also given the nod for Ukraine to use American-supplied weapons with a slight caveat. Washington insists that Ukraine can only use these weapons in response to Russian attacks on Kharkiv and the Kharkiv region. So it's like saying, you can use our baseball bat, but only if they swing first. Classic American logic, preemptive self-defense, but make it sound noble. It is a fascinating turn of events because for the longest time, Western leaders have been doing the diplomatic equivalent of the Macarena, dancing around the issue without actually committing to a beat. Now suddenly, it's like they've decided to play DJ at the world's most dangerous dance party.
An escalation, well, Russia has escalated by invading another country, and Russia has escalated just last weeks by opening a new front where they are hitting Ukraine from inside Russia. And of course, to assume that Ukraine should not hit back is in no way reasonable because Ukraine must be able to defend their territory, also of course by hitting the artillery, the missiles which are launched against them.
And what's the rationale here? Well, it seems the West has finally realized that defending Ukraine doesn't just mean handing over defensive weapons and hoping for the best. No, it means letting Ukraine take the fight to the source. It's a bit like finally deciding to deal with a noisy neighbor, not by just soundproofing your own house, but by delivering a drum kit to their front lawn. Better still, a whole death metal gig. I have to say I really like this particular image. It's like Mad Max Fury Road. You're the flamethrower metal guy, and your Marshall stacks can shoot HIMARS. Now, the stakes are incredibly high here. These decisions could potentially escalate the conflict in ways we can't even predict. But for now, the message is clear. Ukraine has the West's blessing to strike back, and not just within its own borders. And it's a good choice. So, grab your popcorn, because it looks like things are about to get even more intense. This geopolitical thriller is far from over, and we're all just spectators in the world's most perilous game of chess. Live rounds for chess pieces count us in. Now, have you ever thought about how Russians solve their problems? I mean, if you have a problem with someone, or if you want to do something, you have to talk, right? Have some kind of negotiations with the other side? It sounds normal. But not for the Russians. They solve problems in a different way. Let's take a look at the solution offered by Russian propagandists.
Разрешить с территории Польши и Румынии сбивать российские ракеты. Сначала Расмуссен предложил, потом Зеленский это поддержал.
Два выдающихся ракетчика.
Да, ну так значит и Россия тоже, опять-таки, Макрон нам сказал, дал добро на все это. И вы знаете, когда я сейчас смотрю на то...
Нам надо аккуратнее.
Почему?
Ну, долбанем, и Олимпиады не будет.
Ну, там, вы знаете...
Там просто огорчатся спонсоры.
Так что олимпийское...
Там рекламные
Все,
бюджеты
я понял.
такие.
То есть вы предлагаете олимпийское перемирие. То есть до окончания Олимпиады по Франции не бьем.
Нет.
Нет?
Я предлагаю долбануть и Олимпиаду провести у нас.
Вот так вот.
See, Russian propagandist Solovyov suggests strikes on France and holding the Olympics in Russia instead. I mean, yeah, this is Russia for you. They only know one way. Issue threats or maybe use missiles outright with no threats whatsoever, and it seems that the Russians are absolutely fine with it. They don't want to change anything. They want the whole world to be afraid of them. But is the world afraid of Russia? Well, not necessarily. Speaking of which, another day, another loud night on the Russian territory. It seems like the Russians are even starting to like this bavovna, or at least getting used to it. An oil depot in the Temryuksky district of Russia's Krasnodar region was attacked by drones last night. So let's take a look at what the results actually were. Huge wall of flames. Now, at the same time, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation announced the destruction and interception of 5 anti-ship missiles and 29 UAVs over the Krasnodar territory. But the video showed us the opposite situation with the Russian air defense. Russia is still trying to make it look not breakable, but the facts, well, they say otherwise. We now dive into a story so absurd it makes a circus look like a UN summit. Actually, it's kind of the other way around. The UN is actually often the world's most boring circus. Anyway, we're talking about Russia's latest brilliant idea and its never-ending quest to send more bodies to the front lines in Ukraine. You see, according to a recent opinion piece by Michał Bruszewski on the Polish website Defense24, the Kremlin has turned to recruiting in Africa. Yes, Africa, the continent known for its rich culture, diverse wildlife, and apparently now a new talent pool for Russian cannon fodder. Let's break this down. Historically, Russia has been scraping the bottom of the barrel, recruiting from within their own borders, including from prisons. They've pulled in anyone they could find, people working, studying, or, like I said, those serving prison sentences. Everything was fine, right? But now they are taking this on an international level. Russian special services are actively recruiting directly in Africa, offering a monthly salary of $2,200 to any volunteer willing to be shipped off to fight in Ukraine. And let's be clear, 2,200 might sound enticing in some of these regions, but still less than what the Wagner Group, Russia's previous favorite shady employer, used to offer. So not only are these recruits being roped into a war they have no stake in, but they're also getting a pay cut for the privilege. Nice. But wait, there is more. In a bid to sweeten the deal, Russia is offering these recruits citizenship. Yes, the ultimate prize, Russian citizenship. Now, who wouldn't want that? The irony here is richer than the Russian oligarch's yacht collection, because once they accept, they can be drafted and sent to the front lines without any regard for their mercenary contracts or promised payments. It's like a buy one, get one free deal, but instead of getting a second burger, you get a one-way ticket to a war zone. And where is this all happening? Well, in countries like Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, and Uganda. It's as if Russia looked at a map of Africa and said, which nations can we exploit today? And to add to the geopolitical mess, Africa has become a battleground not just for Russia, but also for Western powers and Ukrainian special services. Countries like Sudan are turning into hotbeds of covert operations, with Ukrainian forces actively hunting down Wagner Group mercenaries. Think about this. Coups have become a national sport in some African nations. If they were any more frequent, they would have their own Olympics. So while Russia tries to revive the ghost of Yevgeny Prigozhin's African empire, the West and Ukraine are busy playing a tug-of-war for influence on the continent. And in the middle of this geopolitical chess game are regular people, being recruited with promises that are as reliable as a politician's campaign pledge. So, there you have it, Russia's Africa Recruitment Office, a desperate move that's as transparent as it is cynical. They are plucking people from a continent already grappling with its own issues and tossing them into the meat grinder of the Ukrainian front lines. They call it the special military operation. We call it colonialism. And so we conclude this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates. I'm Milosz Rewiński. Bye for now.